Hi, and if you're new here, my name is Laura. This is Kuhn, Kraft Yoga and Design, and welcome to your gentle energy restoring flow. You may want a block for this practice, or maybe even a strap could be useful as well. Some things that we will not be doing in this practice are chaturangas or push-ups. And as a matter of fact, most of the movements or all of the movements will actually be down on the mat. So it will be a gentle combination kind of between yin and hatha in this practice. So it's just to just feel better within our own bodies, but not having to push ourselves too much, although there will be some challenges. Of course, as there is with any yoga practice, it's just meeting where our bodies are today and noticing how we feel in our bodies. So we're going to get started just to get a little grounded and connect with ourselves in the practice. Just come to a seated position, crossing the legs, whatever feels comfortable, so that you feel nice and rooted and balanced into the earth. Your sit bones are even. And then we're going to take one hand to the heart center, one hand to the belly. Whatever hand feels most comfortable for you. For me, it seems to be easier to have my left hand at my heart. And we're going to just start to notice the breath as we begin to start our practice and just to feel into our awareness of where we're settling into our bodies today. As we start, we'll begin the practice with samavriti, which is an even breath, paying attention to the inhale and the exhales through the nose. And as we start here, maybe you start to bring them more closer together in evenness. So maybe an inhale to a count of 4, exhale, release to a count of 4. Just noticing that gentle rise and fall of the belly and the chest. Riding that wave-like action of the breath through the body. We're going to use that throughout our practice today as we create wave-like movements as we settle into each pose. Couple more breaths here. And if your eyes were closed, you can start to blink them open. We're going to shift ourselves around so we're facing the front edge of the mat and starting in a seated forward fold, which can be quite deep, especially to start a practice. So I suggest starting with the knees deeply bent. Sitting straight up in the torso, hands just touching the mat. We're going to maybe walk the hands forward a little bit. Just kind of feeling out where we're at in the back body. Maybe, if you want, you can shift the hips back a little further, straightening the knees a little more. Of course, you can also have a bolster or a cushion underneath the knees as well for support. And wherever you're at, whether the legs are straight or have a nice bend in them, we're going to keep the hands maybe just a little bit forward of the torso and start to bend in the elbows, maybe round into the upper back. Allow the head to feel heavy. And then wave that back up, coming back to sitting up tall. Moving with your breath, exhale as we wave forward, rounding through the neck, head feels heavy, and then lifting up. Lifting into the heart center, waving it down. Lifting up, waving it down once more. And then this time we're going to lift up and then slowly walk our hands forward. Come into your forward fold. As deeply as you like, allow the head, neck, and shoulders just around over the legs. We're going to take about 3 to 5 breaths here.
Even though a pose looks simple, it does not mean that it doesn't require at least some strength or endurance to hold it and to remain in the posture. Continue to breathe deeply and evenly in and out through the nose. Feel the breath travel down through the spine until it reaches the tailbone. Even feel the belly expand as we're in this folded position. And on the next inhale, we're going to walk ourselves back up to an upright position. This time we're going to swing that left leg to the side so that the left shin is in alignment with the left edge of the mat. And then bring the right shin to be in alignment with the top edge of the mat. So you have this beautiful 90-90 position of the legs. And then feel into this. Are we shifting to the right more than we are to the left? Try to sit up nice and tall. Set your balance into the hips. You're going to feel a wonderful internal rotation of that left hip. At the same time, a slight external rotation of the right. From here, this is going to be a challenge. You can use the hands, walk them out on the earth, and walk yourself forward. Or if you want to take more of a challenge into the core and the hips, we'll keep the hands lifted as we shift the torso forward. Reach forward, and then come back upright for 1, shifting forward for 2, staying strong in the core, upright, reach out, stay strong for 3, and then coming back upright. 2 more, we're almost there. Reaching out, and then coming back up. Last one. Coming back to an upright position, and then we'll release the hands back down to the earth. This time we'll go ahead and walk the hands out, and we can just lean forward over the top of that right shin, placing the forearms to the earth or to a couple of blocks if that feels better for you. And we're just going to hold here for about 3 breaths. On an inhale, let's just walk our hands back. We're going to shift the hands back behind our hips. Move the feet out in front of us. If it feels good, take a couple of windshield wipers. Absolutely take that moment for yourself to release and to renew that energy into the hips. When you're ready, we're going to take that left shin now to be parallel with the top edge of the mat, and then move the right shin out so that it is parallel with the right edge. Again, in that 90-90 position. Notice any difference between the left and the right sides. Come into a nice tall position, feeling into all those different reactions with the muscles with that external rotation of the left hip. And when you're ready, we're going to start walking the hands forward. And you can leave the hands on the mat for this, but we're going to try that engagement in the hips and the torso. And if you want to go for it, lift the hands up from the mat and then bring the torso back upright. So either keep the hands walking down on the mat or keep them lifted as we shift forward for 1, lift up, reach forward, shift forward for 2. Lift it on up. Reaching for 3. Really feeling those hips work. Reaching for 4. Lifting up, stay strong in the core, keep the abdomen engaged. Reach for 5. Lift up. And from here, you can place your hands back down onto the mat. We're going to walk the forearms maybe all the way down to the mat, to the earth, or maybe to a couple of blocks. And we'll hold here in this deer pose position, just opening into that left hip, feeling that internal rotation of the right hip. For about 2 more breaths. When you're ready, let's push ourselves back up to an upright position. We'll bring the hands back behind us. Feel free to take a couple of windshield wipers just to even things out. And then when you're ready, we're going to kick those feet back behind us. Come into a kneeling position. And then when you sit the hips back, let's keep the knees wider than hip width distance apart. We just want some room because while we're in this position and we are just going to work into the top of the feet, the knees, the ankles, we're also going to do a nice gentle wrist stretch. Really nice to take care of our wrists and our forearms as well, often neglected. So start to point the fingertips back towards the body and then press the wrists. You can go one at a time into the mat here. As you can see, I'm taking a little rocking motion. You're going to see that throughout the practice today, just a little rocking, a little wave-like motion, just to feel into the body. Sometimes it gives us a little bit more of an ease into the pose. And if you'd like, you could switch the position. So now the top of the hands are on the mat with the fingertips facing forward or towards you. And then again, rocking the wrists from left to right so that they touch one at a time. From here, let's go palms flat to the earth, fingertips facing to the left and to the right, and then maybe just shift your body from left and right, opening up into the inside of those inner arms, and also feeling it into the hips a little bit. When you're ready, we're going to take the hands to the outside of the knees and then just bring the knees in so that they are touching, and we're going to sit back onto our heels into a hero's pose. Now in your hero's pose, you can certainly stay upright. This can be a challenge for many as far as the stretch into the ankles and the feet and the knees. If it is okay with you, you can start to maybe bring the hands back towards the heels and lean back, maybe even coming all the way onto your forearms. I will not be coming that far today as I do have a knee that has been bothering me and it does need some TLC, but this pose can still be good for us to create just enough stress. Remember, a slight amount of stress in the body can build strength. Too much can cause injury. So wherever you're at in your hero's pose, whether you're upright, halfway, or all the way down, and if it feels good, if you are back onto your hands, or if you're on your forearms, come up onto your hands, and then maybe you can come up into a modified camel. Maybe lift the hips, press the knees down into the earth, feel an even bigger stretch into the front of those quads, and then shift the hips back down. Let's lift them once more. Just a fun, playful addition, stretching out the front line of the body. And then we're going to come back down again. From here, let's come back up and we'll come into tabletop. Take your tabletop closer to the front of the mat. We're just going to use that so that we kind of fall into place on our mat as we move into the next poses. So from our tabletop, we're going to bring the left knee more into the center line and then pick up the right knee, cross it over that left shin. We're going to open up the feet nice and wide so we can sink the hips back. Come into a cow face pose here with the left knee stacked on top of the right. Open up the feet as much as you need. And from here, we're going to stay nice and tall, feel ourselves weighted into the tailbone so that we're firmly planted on the ground. And you can certainly stay nice and tall here. If you want, we can take some spinal waves, walk the hands out just slightly in front of you. Inhale, reach the chest, and on an exhale, we're going to round through the upper back, allow the head to drop, and then come back up. This beautiful spinal wave action with the breath. Inhale as you lower, exhale as you come back up. Feel the head lift last. Do that 3 more times. After the last wave, let's go ahead and bend at the hips. You can take the hands, rest them just on top of the knee if you can really feel a good stretch right here. Or you can take the hands, the forearms, all the way down to the mat and allow the upper body to curl over the upper knee. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. Connecting with the body and the breath, feel it travel down the back of the spine. Start to relax. Release any tension. On the next inhale, let's come back to an upright position, and we are going to shift into half pigeon. To do that, we're going to shift onto our right hip, lift that left knee up, bring it back behind, use the hands or don't, however it works for you. And we're going to straighten out that left leg behind us, coming into pigeon. Feeling the stretch into the back leg, into the back left hip. Hands can come out again in front of us. We'll take those spinal waves, inhale, and then go down with the chest. And on an exhale, lift up, head to come last, just as we did in the last pose. We'll wave it down for 2. Exhale for 3. Come up for 4. And then last, waving motion in that pigeon pose. Come back to an upright position. And now, again, I know this is a gentle restorative practice, but I would like to keep you challenged with some movement in the practice as well. So you can do this next movement by keeping the hands on the earth. That will make it easier. If you want to make it more challenging and really work into the strength of the hips, keep the hands up at heart center or lifted out in front of you. Wherever you're at, we're going to shift slightly into the right hip, lift up the back left leg, push it out in front of us, and keeping the leg lifted and straight for 1. Come back into pigeon, settling back into the hips, and then roll back. Lift the leg up, push it back out in front of you for 2. We'll take 3 more of those. Lifting up, staying strong in that left hip. Use your arms and your hands if you need to. Pressing back with that left leg. 2 more. Last one, we're going to come back into pigeon. Lifting the chest up high. From here, we're going to press into the mat and then bring our legs back into a tabletop. Let's press the hips back, come into child's pose. Extend the arms out in front of us. And then let's walk the hands out over to the left as we shift the hips over to the right. Just taking a little stretch, a little moment here in our child's pose. Taking a nice opening onto the side, into the ribs, into the right side from fingertips. Feeling it all the way into the tailbone. And then on an inhale, let's come back up into center in our neutral child's pose. Inhale. Exhale, release it out. The next inhale, we're going to snake our body forward as we come into Sphinx pose. Lower the belly onto the earth and the shoulders, or the elbows actually, should be just slightly in front of the shoulders in Sphinx. Take an inhale. Exhale, feel your belly connect with the mat. On the next breath, we're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders, doing some spinal waves from baby cobra to cobra. So on an inhale, we're going to lift up. Maybe we don't come very high. It's up to you. And then exhale, release it forward, bending the elbows. Inhale, bending the neck, feeling the head come up last. And then exhale, lowering down. You can be on your fingertips or in the palm of your hands, whatever feels good. If you're feeling it too much in the low back, then maybe don't come up as high. 2 more.
And then lower back down. Place the elbows back into your Sphinx position. And from Sphinx, we're going to come into half frog stretch. So you may want to take the right forearm up to more of a diagonal so you have kind of a kickstand position. Bend the left knee. Reach behind you with the left hand. Maybe take a hold of the left toes. This could be where a strap could come in handy as well. And we're just going to bend and bring that left heel towards the left glute. Doesn't have to be super deep. Again, use any TLC that you need for your body. I have knee issues into my left knee, which could take a while to get better. Sometimes it is a long journey to get past our injuries, but we have to remember to be careful with ourselves in between. And when you're ready, we're going to release the left leg. Take the left forearm down, bring it to a slight diagonal, and we're going to reach back for that right foot, taking the right hand to the inside of the right foot. Maybe you can spin the right fingertips around so that they face the front edge of the mat, and press the right heel in towards the right glute. When you take this arm position, it can be more challenging for the shoulders as well if you're pretty tight in the shoulders. Grab your props if you need them. They're wonderful. And when you're ready, let's release that right leg down. We're going to take both of the hands underneath us and push ourselves back into child's pose once more. Remember, we need to do the right side. So this time we're going to come through center, walk the hands over towards the right, and then shift the hips to the left. Maybe the left hip comes off the edge of that left heel as you stretch. And open up into the lateral side body. Deeper breath, deeper stretch, more of a feeling. And when you're ready, on the next inhale, we'll come back through neutral. And then push back up into a tabletop. I'm going to walk myself up to the top edge of the mat because I want to be here as I transition through the next poses. This time I'm going to take the right knee, bring it more to the center line of the mat, and then cross the left knee over that right shin. We're going to open up, preparing for our cow face pose here on the opposite side. So remember, eventually we're going to cross from this into our pigeon pose on the right. So give yourself some space and some room. From your cow face pose, we're going to sit nice and tall, again feeling into those tailbone, the points, your sit bones, those little rocky protrusions really at the base of your tail. And you should feel yourself nice and balanced. When you're ready, we're going to take the hands, walk them out just slightly, and take a few spinal waves. So inhale. Exhale, wave it forward. Bring the chest forward, reach with the heart center, and then round through the upper back, draw in the belly, coming up with the head last. And then we'll take that for 5 spinal waves. At our own breath. On the last one, we'll come to an upright position, and you can certainly stay more upright in your cow face pose. This is really deep and intense on the hips and understandable if you want to just hang out right there. If you need to feel more of this posture, start to walk your hands forward, maybe drape the upper body over the top right leg, forearms to the earth, and you can just relax the head down. We'll stay here for 3 breaths.
When you're ready, we'll go ahead and walk ourselves back upright, sitting tall, and we're going to shift from this position into our pigeon pose on the left side. So whether you use your hands or if you keep your hands at heart center, we're going to shift onto that left hip, pick up the right leg, move it behind you so that we straighten out that back right knee, and then shift so that we're again balanced between the right and the left hip, and we're not falling from one side over the other, and we come back into this pigeon pose. So again, to start, we're going to take those spinal waves in our pigeon, starting up nice and tall. Take an inhale, and on an exhale, bend the elbows, reach forward with that heart center, and then start to draw it up, lifting up with the chest for 1. Reach forward, come down through that wave, lifting up for 2. Use the rhythm of the breath. Maybe pause anytime you feel a little extra stiffness or if you just need a moment. We'll take 1 more spinal wave. Ending at the top of our motion, back in pigeon pose. And from here, we're going to take that little hip strengthening challenge. Use the hands on the floor if you need that for balance, or if you want to make it harder, you're going to have the hands at heart center or out in front of you. Wherever you're at, we're going to shift slightly into the left hip, draw that right knee up, pick the leg up, push it out in front of you, foot flexed. And then let's go ahead and shift back into that left hip. Keep that leg lifted as long as you can, and then come back into pigeon on the left side. That's for 1. We have 4 more. Can we do this? Lifting the right knee up, push the right foot forward for 2. And back for 2. Very good. Shifting, lifting, pushing it forward for 3. Shifting, keeping it raised, pushing it back. Okay, we have 2 more. Your hips are going to feel open. They're going to feel warm. You're going to feel strong. Last one. Let's make it good. Pushing it forward, sitting nice and tall, keeping the abs drawn in, and then push it back, returning into our pigeon pose here on the left side. You can take your hands back down to the earth, take an inhale, and from here you can feel, go ahead and bring your hand to the left as we draw the right foot up in front, followed by the left foot. You're probably going to want to do some windshield wipers to release the hips. And then we're going to begin to enter the closing portion of our practice by lowering down onto our back and closing with just a reclined twist. So in this version of reclined twist, we're going to keep the left leg straight and then the right leg bent. Maybe shift the hips over to the right just slightly so the spine stays nice and straight from head to toe as we allow the right knee to shift over and drop over towards the left. A very peaceful pose to end the practice, but as it is a twist, be mindful of the breath so you're still breathing through the belly. Opening up the right arm can be at a cactus shape or maybe a T shape. Gaze can be straight up, or you can also gaze over to the right hand. You may notice often in my practices I keep my gaze up towards the sky. That can have a little less pressure on the neck. And I greatly enjoy this pose more for the twist into my core and in my shoulders more than I do into my neck. But whatever works for you. Traditionally, we are gazing at the right hand. I just want you to always know that you need to feel into your body and find what works for you. When you're ready, on the next inhale, we're going to bring both of the feet back in. Bring the back flat. Just come back into a neutral spine.
And then extend that right leg out long. Maybe lift the hips up about an inch or two and draw them over to the left slightly, keeping that spine straight as we let the left knee drop over towards the right. Weight it down with the right hand, maybe resting on the outside of that left thigh. And then draw the left arm out to a T or a cactus shape. Breathe deeply here. When you're ready, we're going to release. You can extend both of the legs out long, finding again that neutral position, straight spine. From head to tailbone, allow the feet to fall open as we enter into Shavasana pose and the arms come into a low V. Slowing down here in a Shavasana pose, you can keep the arms open in the low V, but we're going to enter into a 3-part breath. And if you find it more helpful, you may want to take the hands to the side of the ribs, or even one hand to the heart center, one hand to the belly. On the next inhale, I want you to think of filling up the belly, followed by the ribs and the chest. And then as you exhale, empty out the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Continue with that, filling up the belly, the ribs, and the chest on the inhale. And exhale from top to bottom, releasing it from the ribs, the chest, the ribs, and then the belly. As you do this breath in and out, feel the ribs expand against the hands. Notice how the connection with the back body changes as your breath ebbs and flows between the inhale and the exhale. Again, noticing this beautiful wave-like motion that we have in the body that exists there at all times, the breath flowing in and out. Something we maybe can take a little more time to connect with, and to notice the softness within ourselves that always exists. The gentleness within ourselves that if we just take the time, we can restore it. Replenish ourselves with energy and with positivity. And when you're ready, you can release the breath. Let's just allow it to come back to normal rhythm. Whatever that means for you. Hands can come to rest onto the belly or into that low V. A couple more breaths as we close out our practice in Shavasana. When you are ready, you can go ahead and start to move the ankles, bend and flex the feet. Maybe open up the hands to the sky. Bring the arms up and behind you as you take a nice stretch from toes to fingertips. And either rocking up to a seated position or rolling onto your side. Make your way into a cross-legged seat. We'll close our practice by taking a big inhale, drawing the hands up to the sky, and then bring the hands down through heart center.
Thanking ourselves for coming to the mat today and remembering that no matter how simple a pose looks, it takes strength and endurance to enter the posture and just hit that play button every time we come to our mat. As always, thank you for being here with me and practicing with me on your mat today. If you like this practice, hit that like button, hit a comment below, and let me know how you did today. As always, have a great day. Make it a good one. Bye.